history's horrible humans. Killers you've never heard of and will never forget. H. H. Holmes. Born Herman Webster Mudgett in New Hampshire, 1861. Well-mannered, good-looking, and charismatic. He had what might be called a middle-class upbringing, and eventually went to medical school, where he discovered an interest in business. While at school, he began committing insurance fraud with cadavers he stole from the laboratories and local graveyards. Too ambitious for a small town, he moved to Chicago, armed with only his ambition and an easy way with people. After what could only be described as the renovation from hell, he entered the hospitality industry and opened a hotel. It opened just in time for the Chicago World Fair, which brought 25 million tourists to Chicago. Holmes' business plan? Give them a place to stay and bleed them dry. The Murder Hotel, as it's now known, was one of the most grotesque business enterprises to ever open its doors. He oversaw a lot of the design himself, completely gutting the idea of hospitality. He hired and fired contractors quickly so they couldn't see his master plan. It was madness, but there was a method.
So they do whatever they want, whenever they want. They have absolutely no empathy for another person. When you mix lack of empathy with narcissism, what you actually have is a very destructive person.
He had hallways that were dead ends, stairs that went nowhere, and rooms differently equipped to provide various means of killing. He had a room with metal walls and a gas nozzle, blowtorches in which he could roast a guest alive. He had a room for hanging people. The powerful Holmes could slip the noose around their neck and hoist them to their death. He could raise and lower them as often as he liked, stretching it out. And while this is going on, there might have been another guest sleeping soundly. Sometimes it was just business, not pleasure. He had every room plumbed with gas lines so he could asphyxiate people silently. He needed only to turn on the knob, then collect their unblemished corpses later, like a maid collecting laundry. He had 60 rooms in his hotel, and he could operate 24/7. After he killed them upstairs, he would drop them from the second-story killing floor directly into the basement via numerous chutes. The basement was the real guts of the operation. You could think of it as sales and shipping. In the basement, he had an operating table. He also had a stretching table. This was where he maximized his profits and his love of cadavers by converting his guests into anatomy products. Chicago had many unsuspecting learning institutions.
The cadaver is a very important way to learn anatomy because no amount of book reading or pictures or videos can ever be the same as hands-on experience. Be able to see the structures as they actually are and see how the body is divided into planes, how each piece fits together. The difficulty is, of course, that they're hard to obtain, and it, of course, is unethical to take them under any circumstances but as a gift from that person. So it's treated with a great deal of seriousness.
He could provide unbruised corpses from those he'd gassed. He would convert bodies into skeletons, stripping away their flesh, and could even supply special requests. And to get rid of the rest, he had a lye pit, an acid bath, and a crematorium. Waste not, want not was his motto. It was only when he finished with them in the basement that his guests were well and truly checked out. In the end, it wasn't his murder hotel that brought Holmes down, but greed and a betrayal. Holmes had planned an insurance scam with a colleague, Peitzel. They had an insurance policy on him, and Holmes would provide a corpse to fake his death. But Holmes soon killed Peitzel for knowing too much, and Peitzel's wife became suspicious. Holmes told her Peitzel was on the lam and convinced her to let him take her children to meet their father. After he was caught, it was discovered Holmes had killed the children along the way. Only then the authorities discovered the murder hotel. America was shocked. Holmes was convicted of 9 counts of murder, including the children. Beside his guests, he killed women for their property and others he hired to work for him. He was hanged by the neck until dead, but his neck didn't break, so he suffocated slowly. How many he really killed is unknown. He ran a very efficient hotel.